Here we are. We're on Facebook. I see
Yes.
it.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome joining me on Monday Coffee Talk and Happy New Year. Well, it's New Year's Eve, but not quite, right? I'm really
Right.
excited because earlier I had a conversation real quick with Mary and I love her energy and she's so accomplished and I feel so honored to have her on my show. Mary started writing when she was only 3 years old and she's a really critically acclaimed author, speaker, and she overcame so much in her life that I'm hoping that you will be able to get something very valuable from her journey, the journey that she has to share, and the fact that she's here, accomplished, and published so many books. It's been a really inspiring journey, and from what I have been reading from Mary's bio, it was just incredible. So join me in meeting this remarkable woman, beautiful Mary Love Harris. Yay!
Yay!
We do celebration. So one of the things that I encourage all women to do is we need to celebrate. So when we cheer for each other, when we celebrate each other, we gotta do full in. So yay, Mary!
Yeah.
Woo! Yes. Thank you
Because
so much.
I love me.
So Mary, tell us about you. Give us a little synapse of who you are and like where you come from.
Okay, so hello, everybody. My name is Mary A. Love Harris. I am a single mother of three beautiful children. My little girl, which is my oldest, she is 32. Then I have my princess, my middle daughter. She is 26, getting ready to be 27. And then my man child, who is my baby, he is 24. I have four beautiful, and I do mean beautiful,
Mhm.
granddaughters: Allison, Amari, Alina, and Ava. And then I have the most drop dead gorgeous, handsome grandson you would ever think at the ripe age of 14. His name is Damon. So those are my babies. Um, I'm pretty There's a lot to me, but I'm pretty simple. Okay. I love to roller skate. I love to cook. Again, I'm an author. I'm an avid reader. My mother taught me to read. I was reading by the time I was three. Wrote my first book. Won a Cowboy Prize Award in the fourth grade at Maple Grove Elementary School, which I feel was the best elementary school ever in the world.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Again, I love to roller skate. I love to dance. I'm an entrepreneur, business consultant.
Mhm.
Just opened my publishing house myself. So I have two authors, actually three. Three. I have three signed authors under me. Um, Two of them are children's books. One is a story of change and hope of redemption from another young lady. And I think that's it for now.
Mm. That's not it for now because what you had, well, you kind of touched a little bit on it, is that you have experience and you're speaking the message that you're speaking. It's about hope and also about those journey that came through drug addiction, domestic violence, and also mental illness. Can you speak a little bit about like what got you into spreading those messages? Like what inspires you?
So this is gonna sound really odd, but even when I was using drugs, I looked at things very differently.
Mhm.
I would be, I would be using drugs and I would see people and and I would still even try to encourage them. Like I remember one time, this is so crazy, but this is to give you an example of the way my mind works. Because to me, I always feel that there's a level up, there's a way to be better in whatever you do.
Mhm.
And I remember I was getting high with a young lady, and I had noticed that every time she did drugs, she would allow it to just take her mind.
Yeah.
And so one day we were sitting there and we were using drugs, and I didn't want her mind to go. And so I started singing to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember everyone in that house, they looked at me like, what is wrong with you? And I told them, and I said, I'm singing to her because I want to soothe her mind. So there was that healing property in me. And this was 91, 1990, 91. So that healing property was working in me long before I even understood that I was a healer, or that you have the power to create your energy and to channel it. So I've always been like that. I remember when I was little, when I started experiencing a traumatic childhood life, even though I didn't experience to a degree some things that other children did, it was still very traumatic because I had my childhood shattered. And it began with um, being told that I was adopted. I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't know what that meant because all my life, I mean, I had my mom and I had my dad. And then at 9 years of age, they're calling me inside, you know, from playing, and they say, this you're adopted. And I didn't know what you're adopted mean, but that you're adopted, that difference, that alienation, that isolation, that separation, I found out through life exactly what that you're adopted mean. And so when I think of giving hope, um, or being that one to try to implement change, it's always been with me because I always saw that something's wrong
Mm-hmm.
with alienation, isolation, separation. So no matter what you're in, I try to include everyone in it. So even when I was incarcerated, I did, you know, we're here, we're locked up, we can't go anywhere, but let me include you into this piece of life, right? The circle of life.
Mm-hmm. I love that, it's interesting how you say that when you hear the word adopted, it immediately created a separation for you, and I think for people who like someone like me, I have my parents, and this is my birth parents, and when I hear adoption, it has a different connotation than what it is to you, and what does that mean to you, and having that separation, it almost felt like you're being put away, and you're being isolated, being indifference. Like there's the sense of this is you and this is me, and that separation, it's really scary. At a how old were you when you found out that you were adopted?
I was 9,
Okay.
and but my dad had been my dad since I was 2. So I didn't, again, like I said, I didn't know what that meant. What do you I'm adopted. So what's that mean? Right? Like that's what it was for me. I was, and to this day, I can't bring that into my mind. Um, Even with my in my former marriage, I remember the struggles that me and my ex-husband used to have because he would say, "Well, I'm a stepdaddy." No, you're their father. See, if you're going to step into a position, then that's what you are. There's no separation. And so, anyways, he stayed the stepdaddy, and now he's the ex-husband. But that's another.
Well, you can't really call him a husband anymore, right? So you kind of have to you kind of have to differentiate. Well, this is an ex-husband, even though he was a husband.
Yeah, well, no, I said, and that's why he's the ex-husband. He's not mine. He's somebody else's.
There we go. And what comes up for me is that sense of community, bringing people together, and even when you mentioned incarcerated, and I can't imagine the life in there because you're in a confinement, you're in a isolation. And is it okay to like maybe describe a little bit of what it was like to be in the locked cell?
Oh, sure. So, so here's what being in jail looks like. Um, you're forced to remove your personal clothes, um, bras, panties, And you're forced to put on a uniform that is not clean, and and you have to take off your socks and your shoes, and you go into the cell. That's really not clean because prisoners are not allowed to have cleaning supplies. They are, because cleaning supplies can be a weapon or something to be used to, kill yourself. So it's not like you really get to clean. And then, you're forced to eat food that you wouldn't even prepare for anyone else. And then it's so bleak, right? It's bleak because there's bars on the window and you don't get to see outside, and you get to talk on the telephone if you can find someone that's willing to pay. Well, at the time when I was incarcerated, calls were like $15.99 for 7 minutes.
You had to put coins. Did you have
no, ain't no coin. Like, you got to call collect, and they have to accept. And those calls are like $15 for like 7 minutes, but it takes a minute and a half to connect, and then so really you've got like 3.5 minutes of good talk time, and then the final minute. And you have cell checks. So even if you are doing something every about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, you got to go back in your cell. And then if you were people like me that was very, very violent, okay, I was very violent. That's why I was in jail. You get put in isolation. And isolation is literally 24 hours of you by yourself, and you get to come out for 1 hour a day. And in that 1 hour, that's where you take your shower and you do your phone call. But then other than that, it's total isolation. And I did 6 months of isolation.
What was the most strongest emotional struggle that you were experiencing in that isolation or 24 hours, just you by yourself? What was going on through your mind?
So I'm an adaptable person, and this is gonna sound real crazy, but I was a little bit more grateful when I got in isolation, because then I knew that I wasn't gonna get any more trouble when I was gonna go home. So I didn't have to worry about arguing with anyone else. I didn't have to worry about being bothered. I read books, I sang, I prayed, I studied my Bible, and then I went home. And I remember when I came out of the jail cell, you're asking what it's like to be incarcerated. Deputies, guards, sometimes they're worse than the people that are in there, because there's a people lose pieces of their souls. Okay, and that's in anything that you do. But in that arena, you have to be very careful. Sometimes the guards are the ones that you have to fear more so than inmates. And I remember when I was leaving, this guard, I was going out, and I said goodbye, and she said, "I'll see you again." And I turned to her and I said, "You'll never see me again." I said, "I'm not coming back here." And she said, "Yeah, that's what they all say." The next time I saw that guard, I was inside of the Myers grocery store. It was about 4, maybe 5 years later. And she walked up to me. My name was Thomas at that time. And she said, "Thomas?" And I turned and I looked at her, and she said, "My God, you said you wasn't never coming back." I never came back.
That is amazing. That is amazing. What? How did you go from being someone who got locked away, going through that domestic violence, and you also went through that domestic violence when we first spoke, right? What was that? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the domestic violence?
So I want people to buy my book. They can buy my book. They can buy my book.
What's that book called? What's the book called?
They out of the darkness, a story of triumph. You can
Out
go
of
on
the
my
darkness
website.
into the light.
Yeah, you can go on my website or you can go on Amazon. If you go on my website and purchase it, you get a signed autograph copy from me. If you go on Amazon, they're going to send it to you. You know, I will say this. I will say this. And I was thinking about this the other day. You know, people say you need to stop playing the victim role. Domestic violence survivors are victims. And it doesn't matter how far you come, you're always going to be a victim, and there's always those things that trigger. And so you got to be real careful when you're dealing with domestic violence survivors because we don't look like we're a survivor. I'm high, okay. I'm highly accomplished, and I can't see the comments, but I do see my brother on here, Mr. Vincent Hall, and he calls me Black brilliance at its excellence. And I'm pretty sure somewhere in there he has probably texted that in there. But there are pieces of me that are still very fractured. And so when I go to, you know, I'll say this, I survived it by the fact that my life was not taken. There are many women and men, and I need to say this because, you know, society overlooks the fact that there are men who are domestic violence survivors, whether it is male upon male for same gender relationships, but there are more men who are domestically abused by their wives, you know, so I don't take that lightly, but the fragmented pieces of my personality, I don't expose that to the world because the world can't handle me. And they're not supposed to.
Buy the book.
Yep, buy the book.
Buy the book.
And if they but to give some, here's my shameless plug moment. And if you want to get better, yep, you can get my new releases, 10 Ways to Survive a Relationship, and the companion workbook to go with it, where I talk about the interpersonal communication that is needed.
Yes, and you can find it on Amazon, and I will also have a link here on Facebook so that you can actually access it. Like Mary said, if you access it through her website, then you can get it a copy that's signed. Yep. I will encourage everyone to do that because you don't get signed copy from an author on every single day. So no. Make sure you use advantage of that. Go to her website and get a signed copy. If you go to Amazon, you can also access it, but preferably that's just get it directly from her signed.
That's right. And, you know, and let me say this, I am offering, for those that purchase the book, I am offering a coaching special, simply because I know how hard and challenging it is to shatter illusions and implement something new. And one of the individuals that purchased it, we met up last night and I asked her, I said, okay, how are you doing? And she said, I'm terrified, but I'm pushing. And I told her it's okay. And we can get through it together. Right? Because that's that whole leveling up thing, right? Like, in order for you to level up, that means I got to pull you up. And if I'm pulling you up and I know you're not strong, then I'm going to walk with you. One of the things that I used to tell the women in my transitional housing program that I had from 2011 to 2015, which was Rainbow Word House Ministries, I used to tell those women, you can come to me on your knees. But when you leave, you need to be walking. And it's my job to teach you how to walk.
I love that. I think that's really beautiful. And you know, for people who are not familiar with coaching, that's what really coaching is. Coaching is about partnership, and it's about, you know, I see your struggle, I hear your struggle, but let's walk together so that we can make what is best out of what we have.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not even about appreciating what we have. It's about leveling up. It's about bringing us to the next level. And we all have that potential. And I'm curious, I know we're kind of, running a little over pressing on the time.
You know what? Actually, we're fine. But I want to see. Are there questions? Let me see here. Uh oh.
So far, I haven't seen any question, but people are sharing our video. So if you guys, those of you who's watching, if you have any question for Mary, please feel free to put it in the comment, and we'll address them on here on live. In terms of all your questions, your comments, we definitely appreciate you giving us a like on the Facebook. I was just curious in terms of, how did you get through that? Because for those of who's struggling and they are in that moment of really living in their tragedy, how did you come around with that? Like, what makes you wanted to step out and level up? What was that moment like?
I mean, because why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm all that and a bag of chips. I'm as good as the sliced bread, right? I'm the sugar in the Kool-Aid. I'm all the things that I think I am in my head. And so in order to do that, then that means that I needed to step out and level up so that I can be in the place where I know I should be. And then in doing that, now let me bring again other people. Let me help you level up. Let me bring you up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm that way, in all my relationships, no matter who I deal with. It's not just women, it's my male friends, it's associations. It's like, let me take you to a different level. And I think that sometimes the struggle is not that people don't want better. It's just sometimes some people will not allow you to make them better, right? They want it, but they won't allow you to make them better. And so even with that, it doesn't stop me from being who I am, because I just feel like, God is just so awesome. And if I believe that I have a God who created all things and is marvelous and glorious, then I need to be that too. I need to be a representation of what I say I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think what you brings up for me is really defining your reason, your why. Like why are we here? Why what is the purpose that we have? And also it's about really taking ownership. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people who's going through this journey, there's a commonality among all of us, and it's the faith. It's trusting in something. It's trusting for you, it's trusting God. Maybe for someone else who doesn't have a religion or faith, it's about trusting themselves that they can pull this through. And it's about connecting to who they are, and really defining deep inside of that reason of why. And so what's interesting to me is that you brought up, well, why not? Right? So if you have a purpose and if you know your why not living that purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the message that you're hoping to that your audience will get from reading your book and also listening to, because you do coaching as well. So what is the message that you wanted to share?
That change is possible. I mean, I'm no different than anyone else. But with work and a decision, change is possible. I just told an individual a couple weeks ago, make a decision. Either this is something that you want or something that you don't want. Because whether if you go forward, if you stay the same, or you go backwards, they're all decisions. And they're all a decision that you made. So you can't get mad at anybody else. It's like, I made this decision. If I'm hungry and I don't get up and go in there and cook, or in my case, take something out to cook the day before because I don't have a microwave. Newsflash, everybody, I don't have a microwave. I've lived in my apartment for 2 years. I don't have a microwave. I don't want a microwave because I'm intentional in everything that I do. But so if I don't make a decision to
Mhm.
prepare, then I've made a decision to stay the same or to fail.
I love that. And every moment is really about our options and our decisions, right? And in case, for those of you who's watching or listening, that's what coaches do. We can help you making the best choice. So Mary is coaching one-on-one. I am coaching one-on-one, and that's what we do. We partner up so that we can help you walking through it and making the best decision that you have, so that you are making a conscious choice
Yes.
in your life, right?
I tell
And I think
people I'm a pretty bill collector. That's what I am.
pretty,
I'm a pretty bill.
I'm gonna have to steal that, pretty bill collector. I think this is totally appropriate because today is actually New Year's Eve. So maybe a lot of people are thinking about change, and a lot of us don't know what that change look like.
Yeah.
Like, what would that change be?
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that too. Like, I don't have any New Year resolutions or anything like that. I am just continuing with what I said, and that is building a better future for me as a woman, as a professional, as a friend, as a mother, as a nana, as a preacher, you know, just building a better version of me. And I'm doing it.
Yeah. You're killing it. You're killing it.
Well, I got some. Do I have time to do an announcement right quick? Like, because
Of
I see you said we're
course.
running out.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so January the 18th, 2020, here in Lansing, Michigan, at the Lansing Center. Please go ahead and register. You can go on Geotix, or you can go to my website and click the event page. So it is the 2020 Entrepreneur Level Up Experience. Yes, and stay tuned. Stay tuned because we got some good stuff that's coming up. All right, we got a nationwide tour that is coming up with myself and Miss Michelle. Our first stop is California, June 2020. We are coming to LA. Okay, all right, and then February for
Yes.
my women in the city of Lansing, a Spirit of Giving Women's Empowerment Conference is back. Yes, it is. Those dates are February the 17th. Please visit my Facebook page, my personal page, Mary Always Love, or you can go to a New Me For You LLC professional page. Listen, Instagram, LinkedIn. Instagram is One Vivacious Poodle. Instagram is Mary A. Love Harris, and Twitter is Rev Mary. There's my announcement.
Well, that's a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it easier for everyone. So if you follow us, put a comment in the link, I will actually create a link with all the website information that Mary had just mentioned, including her tour where you can get the ticket. January 18, 2020, she's going to do the 2020 Leadership Level Up. Yeah. And again, and I just found my lost a sister from another mother. So there you go. We're going on a tour.
Yes, we are.
I am so grateful of you, Mary. You bring so much light into this life. I really truly feel that your personality, it just shine through, like the smile that you have. And I mentioned this to you earlier when we had that private conversation. What I mentioned to Mary was that, regardless all the struggle, her past experience in life, all the challenges that she was facing, yet she's sitting here today with me, and she has that smile on her face, and that is just really empowering for someone to see someone that no matter what struggle that you're going through, you're still able to have your light come through. And that's really important. I think that's really beautiful. Like, we all have our struggle, we all have our life experience and challenges that we're facing, but yet you're sitting here and you're laughing out loud, you're smiling, great smile, great personality, and very accomplished. And again, published so many books. You read, you write. There's nothing in there that spoke struggle to me. And that's an inspiration.
Wow.
That's an
I
inspiration.
agree. Yeah, you can make me cry now. At the beginning, she was getting ready to make me cry, y'all. I told her, I said, no, we're getting ready to go live, but we're almost done. So Yeah, no, I
It's
struggle.
just you are inspiring. You're so inspiring, and I love you so much about it. Yeah, you're a living example of what this life is about.
That's what we're
Yeah,
supposed to be. The Bible says, "Let your light shine." Right? Don't hide it under a bushel. And that's what I'm trying to do. And then there are times when my light goes dim, and I have my moments, and I go in, I get real quiet, and I run to God so that He can build me back up, um, so that I can then come back out and continue to let His light shine. But even in my struggles, I let my light shine.
I love that. So if you were to here, let's just wrap up real quick. So if you were to summarize, or actually, let's look ahead. Look ahead
Okay,
in 2020.
all right.
If you have to use one word to describe 2020, what would it be?
One word to describe 2020. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's two word, Mary. You're a writer. You can tell me. I think that's two word.
I
Yeah, that's
said
two
yeah. That's it. Like 2020 is yeah.
All right. Well, so my 2020 is prosperity, and I feel that we are going to have a really prosperous year together.
Yeah.
Yeah, high five. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me, Mary.
My sister, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I enjoyed this.
So again, just tell us your website again.
Okay, so my website is www.akn as in Nancy, U as an umbrella, M as in Mary, E, the number 4, YOU.com. So that's a new me for you.com. Go on there and find out about the services that I offer. You'll find that I do quite a bit, and find out about my events. You can go onto my online store to purchase your t-shirts or your books. Also, just a quick plug here. This is one of my authors. This is a book on bullying. This is J.E.T. Likes. She is published under Gemstones Publishing House. And so this is the Candy Chronicles, and this is a very good read. It deals with the topic on bullying. And so, yeah.
Everything is going to be in the comments. The link will be in the comments.
In the comments.
And like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook.
Yep. Thank you
And
so
stay
much.
tuned. Yeah. See you later. Stay tuned. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was so much fun. Oh, goodness.